Hello everyone and welcome back to our life beginnings and always. I've been having trouble with my setup. I recently upgraded just a little bit. And I spent the last 20 minutes it's being funny on me. So if you hear this at all, it's a bit of a miracle. But we're moving into, I'm just keeping an eye on my other screen. It's working, right? It's working. Okay, it's still, yeah, it's still going. Okay, brilliant. Okay, yeah, so we're moving into step 2. Well, no, sorry, we're already in step 2. We might be slowly moving out of step 2 now. We've got these last 2 little moments to go, dinner and road trip, which I'm planning to finish now. So then next episode we'll be moving on to step 3, which should be exciting. But also both dinner and road trip sound like they could potentially have a lot in them. So we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. I'm fine, let's go. Dinner. Sunlight shone through the windows as you sat in your living room, your home phone pressed to your ear. Cove was on the other end. Oh damn, I'm so excited. I just smile every time I see his name. It had been shaping up to be an ordinary day, like any other, until Cove had called unexpectedly. He sounded unusually nervous greeting you. I wonder why that could be. You listened silently as he kept talking, his words stilted. I read ahead, I shouldn't have done that. I was just wondering, do you want to come over to my house for dinner tonight? Yes, I do. Yes, I would like that, please. Yes, thank you. The question came out strangely, almost like he'd rehearsed it a few times beforehand. He has anxiety. It's okay, we know this. Your eyes widened a little. You hadn't expected this to be the reason behind the call. No. Yeah, I'll go. Of course. It was... Huh? Oh, well, I'm sorry, was that too quick? Did you expect me to hesitate? Whoops. It seemed that Cove still had more to say, and you just interrupted him. Oops. Sorry, hasty. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Cool, well... He stumbled for a bit, trying to gather his thoughts again. I interrupted your script, I'm sorry. My mum and dad, they really want you to be here. If your parents don't have a problem with it, they asked me to ask you. You took a moment to think. Dinner at home would be quiet and uneventful today. If you wanted to, you could go to Cove's instead. Cove spoke up again, breaking your thought train. His voice was softer than before. Ooh! Also, I want you to be there too. Can you? Come over, I mean? I already said yes, of course. Yeah, I can come. I'll have to get my mums to get back to you. No, I can't make it. Why am I the only one invited? No, of course. I can come. Just a little keen. Thanks, Patch. I'll let them know when I can. He sounded noticeably relieved by your response. Was you coming over for a dinner today that serious? He spoke to you a little while longer to explain what time to come over and other details, then hung up. And that was that, for now anyway. Soon enough, the sun dipped out of the sky and evening came. It was time for you to head to Cove's house. After letting Elizabeth know you were leaving, she didn't look away from the TV, just grunted, you made the small journey across the street. You knocked a couple times on the heavy door to their condo. As you waited for an answer, you found yourself contemplating being a guest while both of Cove's parents were there. I think it's exciting. We're going to try and stay positive. I think it might be a little awkward, but we'll try our best. Let's go in with a positive mental attitude, you know? Let's expect it to go well. You had thought today was going to be boring, but it turned out to be much more interesting. You didn't get too much time with your thoughts though. The door opened soon enough. Cove's mum, was it Kira or Kyra? I think Kira, stood in the frame, smiling warmly at you. Oh, I gotta remember her voice. Hey, Patch, welcome. Please, come on in. She opened the door wider and moved to me. I've never been in here before, have I? Oh my gosh, they've got a nice place. Okay, wow. Wow. She opened the door wider and moved to make room. You stepped inside, allowing her to shut it behind you. I love her hair. Thanks so much for coming over. I know it was kind of last second. Thank you for having me. Of course, just make yourself at home. It's not my home, but I've been given permission to say that. Oh, I love your hair too. Hey Patch, welcome to our humble abode. I've been here before, surely. You jerked your head towards the sound of Mr. Holden's voice. He waved at you briefly from the kitchen with his back turned and a large spoon in his hand. Hope you're hungry because I'm whipping up a lot of tasty stuff. True to his word, you heard something sizzling on the stove. You closed your eyes and inhaled. It smelled spicy and savory. With Mr. Holden busy and Cove nowhere to be seen, it was just you and Kira. She gave you a wry smile. What is that? Yeah, what is that? Why are you both... What are these mischievous faces going on? I'm suddenly very nervous. He sure is. Well, I've been barred from cooking the entire time I'm staying here. Can you believe that? She nudged you with an elbow. Mr. Holden scoffed good-naturedly, then spoke from over his shoulder. You're on vacation, Kira. You need to accept that already. She yelled back, amusement obvious on her face and in her tone. People still cook when they're on vacation. Everyone's gotta eat. It's not like I'm some kind of celebrity who can go out for every meal or hire a private chef. Well, of course not. You're a VIP. Kira smiled and shook her head quietly. Then she turned to face you once more. They seem to be getting along well. That's good. Sorry about that, Patch. Here, I was trying to strike up a conversation with you and Cliff just had to butt in. I don't butt in. She eyed him, chuckling in disbelief. He wasn't exactly disproving her point with that. Kira leaned over to whisper to you. It's okay, he likes to be included, but since Clifford insisted on cooking all by himself, he'll have to wait. So the two of us can chat. Her next question continued to be said in a hushed tone, just to be safe. So, how are you doing? I'm good. That's what I like to hear. She opened her mouth to say something more, but some lightly pounding footsteps caught your attention. You checked to see Cove emerge from the hall a few moments later. He might have heard all the commotion and left his room to see what was going on. Hello. He quickly took stock of the situation. Oh, buddy. Dang. I just love it. It's just good. His cheeks tinted pink at the sight of you standing in his living room, and his hand came up to rub his arm almost bashfully. Patch, hey, thanks for being here. There was nothing unusual about the words in his greeting, but you could tell something was wrong from the way he looked like he wanted to be anywhere but there. Hi, Cove, you doing okay, bud? You look a bit sick. Yeah, I'm fine. He didn't sound convincing at all. You narrowed your eyes suspiciously but didn't call him out on it. If you could talk to him alone tonight, maybe you'd ask him what was going on then. It was when you glanced away from Cove that you spotted his parents watching the two of you interact. Cove noticed their stares too, meeting them with narrowed eyes. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, we having dinner now? Not yet, but I'm still cooking. Alright, I'm gonna go back to my... What about me? Am I supposed to just sit here with your mom? With your mom? As he turned to leave, he bent his head to the side to face you. Oh, thank God, thank you. Please, get me out of here. You coming? The question was quiet, but you heard it clearly. You smiled, pleased that he asked, and nodded in the affirmative. No choice. Cove turned fully and made his way down the hall. Don't look at me like that. You too, go away. We'll call when food's ready. We'll bye. With that, you followed after Cove. The two of you made your way down the hall. Boop. Not at all. I've been here many times. Yeah, come on. We're like best friends. Cove got to the door first, opening it and stepping inside. You joined him. I'm so excited. Oh my God, it's so cool. He's like a collection of seashells. Oh my gosh, I just gotta drink it all in. He's got fish, of course he does. This is the neatest teenage bedroom I've ever seen in my life. Wow. There was a mat on the floor in front of the door. As you stepped over the threshold into his room, you felt the crunch of sand beneath your feet. Okay, so not that clean, it just looks it. Okay, the sensation was nothing new to you, of course. Cove constantly came back to his room covered in sand, not bothering to clean himself off at the front door, and got it all over his personal space. That would drive me insane. That's just how he was, a little bit of a mess. I know, but like, you'd get sand in your sheets. Ugh. You hadn't heard Mr. Holden ever scold him for it. Not like your mums would have if you'd have done it. Yeah, he probably does the same though. You can sit wherever you want. Cove himself took a seat at the edge of his large bed, looking like the picture of comfort, and left you to decide. You know what? We know where I'm sitting. You sat next to Cove on his bed. Come on, bud. This is... As soon as she sat next to him, Cove grew tense. His back went stiff and he ducked his head away. What? I'm sorry, do you want me to sit somewhere else? Oh, your face, you complete dumbass. He tried to hide a trembling smile. His face looks like an emoji. I can't do this line seriously. Oh my god. I just need to drink a water real quick. He said it under his breath as if he didn't want you to hear for some reason. You obviously did, and easily, since you were right next to him. Yeah! You felt a bit... I'm gonna react like that to every single one of the choices I make from now on out. You felt very charmed by his reaction. He raised his eyebrows. You both kept noticing the other's every move. You only shrugged back. It's nothing, don't worry about it. You're like an open book, you know that? You're such a sweet guy. Oh, I think I've said this before. He for sure is. Adorable is correct, but I also don't want that to come across as demeaning. Open book, that's kind of demeaning too, but you know, I think just a nice old compliment. You're such a sweet guy, Cove. What? Clearly he hadn't expected the compliment. Somehow his flush grew worse, spreading all the way down his neck. He fumbled for words. I'm not... That's... He gripped the blanket underneath him and searched for something more to say. Did you see my fish? I've got some in a tank right there. Cove threw both his hands in front of him to direct your eyes towards his pets. He was trying pretty poorly to change the topic. That much was clear. You decided to show him mercy and allowed it. No, destroy him. You started to watch the bright fish swim. There was a bunch of them, floating to and fro in the open space. They stood out starkly against the green aquarium plants. How long have you had those fish? My dad bought them for me not very long after I moved here. I guess it's been years now. Wow, that's a long time. You peered carefully into the tank. The fish looked to be doing well. You must take good care of them. Most of them were small, but there was one especially big one. What are their names? I don't name them, well, not really. He lifted an eyebrow at that. He continued the explanation sheepishly. Mostly, I just call them things based on what they look like. Squirt for a small one, tangerine for the really orange one, that sort of thing. I've had a lot of fish, and I'm not that good at coming up with names. Funny, sure. Who knew that was a weakness of his? It was an entertaining revelation. Oh, a couple of them have other types of names. He pointed to a small orangish red one. It was minding its own business away from the others. My dad named her Dreamcatcher, and that other one's Mark. Mom came up with that one. Of course she did. Cove smiled to himself, his eyes reflecting the glow from the tank. You let other people name your fish? Yeah, it's nice. He then turned to you, tilting his head to the side. There was a considering look on his face. Do you want to name one? Oh, wait. can I? Yes, I'll be polite. Can I? His smile grew a little at your interest. Sure. There's a few who don't have names right now, the newer ones. You can pick one if you want. You can pick which one you want to name. He pointed at each of their recent acquisitions out to you. The first was the smallest fish in the tank. It was completely orange and zipped all over the place, running laps around the others. The second was slightly bigger and red. Its tail was dotted with black spots, which almost resembled freckles. The last fish was the biggest one. Its multicolored scales rippled under the bright light of the tank as it slowly made its way across the vast expanse. You went with... Oh, I like the small one, the little baby. Cove only nodded at your answer, waiting on you to decide on a suitable name. You watched the fish you chose closely. As you did, a name eventually came to you. Ooh. Oh, okay. Frank is pretty good. I can't name him after myself. Can you imagine that? Holy heck. One comes to mind and I just gotta go with it. I'm not calling it Bubble. The Incredibles. Yes! I could not think of anything else. Alright, it's Dash. With that, his attention moved from you to the tank. He peered fondly at it and its inhabitants. You smiled proudly at Dash as it swam through the tendrils of plants, disappearing then reappearing soon after. You noticed then that Cove was sitting closer to you than he was before. He must have scooted over at some point during the conversation. This close, your shoulders were almost brushing against each other. Your heartbeat picked up a little at the realization. You know, I'm not allowed to have pets in my house. Not even fish. The corners of Cove's lips turned down at that. That doesn't sound fair. It's not like fish would make a mess of your house or anything. You just gotta take care of their tank and feed them and they'll be okay. Yeah, I'll agree. They trust Elizabeth and me to go to the neighborhood alone, but they won't let us have a pet. It doesn't make sense. Honestly, yeah. Let them get a pet. Come on. Maybe when you're older they'll let you? I don't know, they seem pretty against it. Your current conversation brought to mind a memory from years ago. You launched into it without any warning, earning you a brief confused look from Cove. One time Elizabeth, came back from playing at the beach and just shut herself in her room. She only came down for food and then she ran back upstairs straight after. It was kinda weird. My mums didn't think much of it at first though. But then at night, Ma went into her room to say goodnight and started screaming. Mum and I ran over to see what happened. Lizzie had this huge lizard in her arms. Cove's eyebrows rose at that and he leaned forward in interest. A lizard? Where'd that come from? Elizabeth said she saw it half buried in the sand and didn't know what it was. Then she pulled it out and got the answer, so she brought it home. She hid the lizard in her room for most of the day because she wanted to keep it. Mum and Ma were not happy. They worried about putting it out during night, but she was going to have to let it go in the morning. Lizzie was really upset. She did bring it back to the beach eventually, but she wouldn't talk to anyone for days. When she did get over it, it was almost like it never happened. You laughed, thinking back to that time. Elizabeth had always been stubborn, but when she was younger she forgot grudges quickly. Now it wasn't so easy. Cove had been quiet for most of the story, apart from the reveal of the lizard. He had a thoughtful look on his face. I can't even imagine what it'd be like to have a sibling. You gave a serious thought to his statement before you told him. I mean, yeah, there are ups and downs. I think that's the reality of it. It's fun to have her there when she wants to be there, but now Elizabeth barely feels like hanging out with me. Cove pursed his lips at the words, considering them quietly for a while. That's interesting. I think your family is cool. He didn't have much else to say, though while on the topic of your family, you considered your relationship with your mums too. I just want to say they're the best, because they are really cool. I want us to have a good relationship. Oh, I mean, honestly, I feel like at this point, being a teenager and having a good relationship with your parents, I think, is tough. So I feel like in reality, it'd probably be a bit iffy at the moment. But I just really want them to have a nice relationship. They're all just so cool. And this is my fun, happy life simulator. You couldn't even consider having another opinion. You couldn't have better parents. Oh. A thought struck you and your attention suddenly settled back on Cove. Yeah, my mums might not let Elizabeth or me have pets and stuff, but at least they never tried to pay someone to be my friend. Whoa! Where did that come from, me? Oh, that's so mean. Why did I say that? I'm just like, yeah, well, at least my dad's not a piece of shit, loser. Ugh. Oh my god. Okay, so just a joke? Okay, I thought maybe it was still like a raw wound or something. Oh. Okay. Jeez Louise. I was full in panic mode there. You grinned over at Cove. It had been years since he found out about your first meeting with his dad. It was easy to joke about these days. Cove rolled his eyes so hard you were surprised they didn't get stuck that way. Oh no, see, I think it might still be because I don't think he has a great relationship with his dad, bud. You need to be careful. Be more considerate, me. Jeez. I almost forgot about that. Really? No, not really. I'll never be able to forget that actually happened for the rest of my life. It's gonna humiliate me forever. Oh. Then I'm sorry since I'm gonna bring it up forever. Oh, I'm really sorry about what happened, Cove. Cove took one look at your remorseful face and waved your apology off with a hand. It's okay. I mean, it's not, but I'm not sad about it anymore, just really embarrassed. Okay, that's fair enough, I guess. It is a little awkward. Time passed, but you didn't really notice. The two of you were busy, making plans for the rest of the summer and chatting about your respective days. Eventually, you heard a muffled holler from a different part of the house. You and Cove raised your heads in unison. It's time for dinner! Cove watched the firmly shut door he had been locked behind for most of the night, but he didn't make a move to get up from the bed. You couldn't see his face, so you didn't know what expression he was wearing. I'm glad you came. Cove peeked back at you from the side. It's been awkward. I get that. It's been hard for you, huh? You felt sympathetic towards him. You didn't know what he was going through, but you cared about him. Cove said nothing else and remained sat where he was. Now would be as good a time as any to ask him why his parents so suddenly wanted you to come over. Yeah, I'll ask. Oh, I keep forgetting to read the line. Is there a reason why they wanted... Wait. Is it there? Is it there? Is it there? Yeah. Is there a reason why they wanted me to come over tonight? It hasn't been awkward for just me. Sometimes it gets like this when no one else is around, but now you're here. I understand it must be a bit uncomfortable. I mean, like, I imagine you haven't lived under the same roof for years and now suddenly you're like that for however long these holidays are going for, isn't it? In America it's like 3 months, isn't it? Yikes. Huh, you hadn't considered that, but it sort of made sense in a way. There was another shout from outside, too muffled to actually know the words, but you could imagine what they were. Let's go. Cove finally got up, lumbering away with his shoulders sagged. You followed after him. Together, the two of you made your way back to the living room. Oh, you're very close. Okay, I guess that's fine. As you expected, Cove's parents were politely waiting for you at the kitchen table, beside the windows overlooking the back of the house. Food had been prepared and set. It's so bizarre to me. I don't know why, but the weirdest things in these games to me is like that all like the meals are prepared for you. I'm so used to cooking all my meals nowadays that I'm like, wait, I just walk in and it's there. I sit down and eat and then I walk away and that's it. Oh my gosh, I feel bad. I feel bad about this. Mr. Holden beamed as you and Cove took your places. I hope everyone's hungry. I cooked up a feast. I need to keep reassessing every time I go to speak as her. What is her? I know I am. Yeah. Oh, buddy. Cove's mumbled response wasn't nearly as upbeat as theirs. His parents didn't notice, or they pretended not to. Mr. Holden instead looked at you, grinning. Okay, I'm in. Please, once again, stop looking at me like this. I'm like I'm your social scapegoat, and this is intimidating. I'm an introvert. Let's all just take a moment to thank our special guest for being with us here tonight. I'm so glad you were I'm so glad you were able to make it, Patch, and on such short notice too. I mean, I'm just across the road. I could come over here every night if it's really this uncomfortable for you. Yeah, I'll thank them. You thank Cove's parents back for inviting you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you both for inviting me. Well, that's it. Everyone please dig in. You can help yourselves to the food. Upon his encouragement, you looked over the meal spread out in front of you. There was a large garden salad in the center, surrounded by a variety of Mexican dishes. Hell yeah! Oh my god, I had the best burrito the other day. It was so good. It's like an hour and a half later, I was still like, damn, I'm still glad I ate that burrito, you know? Oh, it's so good. There were a lot of sides and optional sauces to add. Multiple sauces? Dang, dude. You made careful note of the dishes that had animal products. Thankfully, it didn't seem to be all of them. Thanks, bud. I appreciate the thought. The three other people here were omnivores. I mean, I'm still technically I'm still an omnivore. Cove's dad might have made some of the dishes especially for you since he was aware of your veganism. Well, that's very considerate of you. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're very happy about these. Sure, dude. That's very nice of you. You loved Mexican food, and there were so many dishes to choose from. You were practically drooling. Utensils and plates scraped and clinked together as the group began filling their plates. Cliff, could you pass the salsa verde, please? I'm sorry, how do I say that in that accent? The salsa verde. Yikes. Of course. Thank you. Let me just say you really outdid yourself tonight. I'm so jealous. Jealous of what? Your cooking's nothing to sneeze at, Kira. Cove's parents made small talk, filling the silence with what seemed to be barely any effort. You chimed in as well. Did it take you long to cook all this, Mr. Holden? Oh, not at all. Sure, this is more than I usually make for me and Cove, but I enjoyed every second of it. Well, it might have gone faster if you had some help, though. Cove's mum grumbled, but it was light-hearted. Mr. Holden chuckled and shook his head. Not this again. I make the rules here, and I say guests don't cook. Even when they're staying for literal weeks? Even then. Brief silences interspersed the small talk. You piled some food on your plate, waiting for your turn if someone was serving themselves a dish that you had your eye on. Once the food had been divided and things settled down, Cove's parents started talking again. Now then. You sat up in your seat when you noticed they were both looking at you. What? How's everything been over at your house? Are your mums well? You been keeping busy this summer, or maybe you're just trying to take it easy during the break? It's fine. It's fine. I knew this was gonna happen. You're more than happy to answer. Cove's parents seemed honestly interested to hear from you. Oh, that's nice. You were kind of flattered by the attention. You answered how things were at your house. I'll ask the first question first, I guess. You answered how things were at your house. Yeah, I think it's been good. Elizabeth was really nice to me that the other day, so that was nice. Oh, that's wonderful. Tell them how mums are doing. Yeah, good. Yeah. You should ask them yourself. My mums are great. Mum took us out for dessert a couple weeks ago since her project went really well. Is that so? I'll have to congratulate her when I see her. What have I done? I'm not sure what it's done. There's so much has happened. You should know what I've been up to since so much has included your family. That feels kinda sassy. I'm just gonna go with this one. Mr. Holden's brows raised when you answered with that. You sure are keeping yourself busy. I could learn a thing or two from you. And that was it. I'm done. I'm tapping out. Kira nodded along. You could tell she was actually listening to the words you were saying. She was trying to include you, not humor you. Aw. Did you know, Cliff, Patch is really into music? Mr. Holden's face lit up and he stopped eating so he could lean forward. His arm. How have we not known each other for like 5 years at this point? I was like, yeah, it's been like 5 years. Oh, that's right. Very cool. I think it's just, yeah, I think it's a hobby. It's a hobby. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good to do things just for fun. Everyone needs a hobby. I've been thinking of picking up wood carving myself. Me too. Oh, I want to do wood carving. I mean, I went to Bunnings to try and get a whittling knife, and they were like, "What's a whittling knife?" And I'm like, bye. Apparently, that's where I draw the line. If you don't know what a whittling knife is, I do not associate with you. You couldn't tell how serious he was being about that declaration. Thanks. What's going on? Cove's parents were definitely the encouraging type, but you could already tell that much about them. There was a lull in the conversation as everyone focused their attention on their respective plates. Yeah, fair enough. You can't talk the whole time. You gotta eat at some point. You noted, not for the first time, that Cove's parents were the ones guiding the conversation. You wondered if you should break the silence this time. Hell yeah, do it. No, I'll bring something up. What's up? Okay, yeah, that's how we do it. I also like other things. Would you like to tell us some more? Yeah, absolutely. They looked genuinely eager for you to keep talking, so you did. Oh, God, you seem to be getting along all right. It can't be that bad. The rest of dinner continued just like that, with light conversation as you ate your meals. Eventually, all the dishes on the kitchen table were pretty much gone. Kira set down her fork and rested her arms at her sides, letting loose a satisfied sigh. Her plate was completely empty. That was delish! Thank you for your culinary creations, Cliff. Mr. Holden was like a flower soaking up the rays of the sun. He beamed, flattered by the praise. Usually for sure this one, but you know, I don't want to risk us like, I don't know, throwing up or something. Look at that blush! Hello, cutie! You ate until you were satisfied. It had taken you some time to finish it all, but eventually you cleared your plate. Cove successfully kept his presence to a minimum for the full meal. He was slumped over, even now, toying with his silverware. Oh, come on, bud. Come on. You're okay. Come on, we can do this. I'm here to support you. His parents practically only talked to you. Most attempts to entice him to conversation had failed. Oh, I don't blame him. It must be an awkward situation to be in. Then again, Cove didn't tend to talk a lot unless he happened to be in the mood for it, so you weren't surprised things ended up this way. You didn't get much time to contemplate Cove's situation because your attention was taken by Mr. Holden pointedly clearing his voice. Not to sound like a broken record, but thanks for coming, Patch. I'm glad we finally got the chance to have you over for a real dinner. In 5 years. What? Did I hear that right? This is the first time Patch has ever had dinner here? Why in the world haven't you invited them over sooner? Cove was always the one going over to Patch's house until now. I mean, how was I supposed to reject the generous offers of the Pyework family to host my kid? Kira shook her head, but the amused smile she was sporting told you that she wasn't actually mad. This guy, honestly. Stop. I'm interjecting here. The three of you looked at Cove in confusion, his small sound being a more than enough to get the focus on him after his silence. By now, he'd stopped fiddling with his fork. Yes, please, yes, please, yes, please, yes, please, yes, please, yes, please, yes, please. Okay. Would it be alright for Patch to stay over? Like for the night? He shot you a shy glance, smiling a little. Please? Oh, please? If you're cool with that. Look at his face, like he'd never considered this was ever going to happen. Mr. Holden's shoulders stiffened. He sat up straighter, eyes darting back and forth between you and Cove. His mouth opened, not a peep came out. He'd never seen Cove's dad say no to him before, but this was different than the usual request. It wasn't so simple, and Mr. Holden was lost. Then Cove's mum reached out and took a hold of his shirt collar. She pulled him closer. Whose shirt collar? Cliff's? She glanced at you before leaning in and bringing your hand up in front of their faces. The two adults whispered seriously to each other. Okay. Cove's eyes opened wider. He leaned forward as if it would help him overhear his parents' conversation. Mr. Holden kept gesturing with his hands while Kira made sure he didn't get too far away with all his movements. Every now and then, both of them would watch you and Cove out of the... How long is this whisper conversation going on here for? It didn't seem like they were fighting to you. They looked more like some kind of tiny sports team having a private huddle. After a bit, they broke their powwow. They moved back to sit properly in their chairs. The council has made a decision. Okay, you're giving me the weird face again. You snuck a look at Cove. He stared at them expectantly. You were eager to hear their verdict too. We, Kira and I, think that would be fine. But... He lifted a finger. I just lifted a finger dramatically too. He lifted a finger dramatically, his brows raising as he met Cove's gaze and then your own. We'll have to talk with Patch's parents to make sure they'd be comfortable with it. If they are, we can arrange for a sleepover to happen on a different night when everyone is more prepared. If Patch's folks don't like the idea, there's nothing we can do. I guess that's fair. I just got excited. He finished the mini speech with a wide shrug using his full arms. He also checked out Kira from the corner of his eye and gave her a crooked smile. What, is this some kind of parenting competition? Calm down, guys. She nodded approvingly and grinned back. You thought you saw her give him a thumbs up, but her hand was partially blocked by the table. They looked so pleased with themselves over the answer, but they just passed the actual decision on whether it was all right or not to someone else. Namely, your parents. Yeah, true. You didn't really... Yeah, great. Okay, great. If this was a sports game, they would have punted the ball away. Cove hung his head, deflated. He'd been hoping you could stay over today, not some hypothetical time in the future. What if they catch that though and it gets in trouble? I should pout too. I'm gonna pout too. Hey, what? Take this, parents. Pouting. Cove and you sulked as a set, neither able to muster the enthusiasm to find a bright side to this disappointment. He stared at his lap, an impressive frown on his lips. Oh, really? We can't pout you into submission? Okay. With that, dinner finally came to an end. Mr. Holden stood up from the table and began collecting empty plates. Cove was asked to help out, which he did with little fuss. Kira tried to lend a hand as well, however Mr. Holden didn't let her. It seemed she was barred from cleaning as well as cooking. You weren't allowed to chip in either, since you were there as the declared guest of honor. Okay. Although the meal was over, the night wasn't. Ooh, okay. It looked like you weren't going home just yet after all. You were asked to wait on the couch. Do you have something prepared? While Cove and his dad were cleaning up the mess, Kira disappeared down the hall after shooting you a wink. What is happening? It was a bit strange, yeah, sitting by yourself while everyone else had something to do. Luckily, you weren't alone for too long. After a couple minutes, Cove's mum returned with a deck of cards in hand. She strolled into the room confidently while shuffling. What, you don't have, like, Catan? So, who's up for a few rounds? Cove and his dad looked over their shoulders at the question. They were mutually intrigued by the cards in her hand. So, what do you have in mind? You know? That's the only card game I really care about. She beamed at... That's including magic. I say, looking into my non-existent camera. She beamed at their expressions and stepped further into the living room. Ignoring the couches, she sat cross-legged on the floor by the coffee table. She turned to you and gestured at the space beside her, smiling invitingly. I'm not going to go easy on you, just so you know. I am going to destroy you. You accepted and followed her lead. The living room carpet was soft, though the hardwood floor underneath could definitely still be felt. Kira did an overhand shuffle while she waited for the others to finish their tasks. The smile had yet to leave her lips. What, do you think you're good at this? I am gonna beat you. Are you just gonna destroy Cliff? That's probably your aim in this. Yeah, I'm excited. Sure. You enjoyed card games and it would be fun to play with Cove and his parents. It didn't take much longer for Cove and his dad to wrap things enough to call it good. Cove's dad appeared first, followed closely behind by Cove. Mr. Holden rubbed his hands together in anticipation. All right, I'm ready. As he took his seat across from you on the floor, you noticed that Cove hadn't joined him. He went straight down the hall instead. Without even a word, you stared on confused as he disappeared through his bedroom door. Wow. Wow. Really, me? This is the one? This is the one? All right. Judging myself. Cove's parents didn't look concerned at the stunt. Kira nonchalantly split the deck of cards into two and you're leaving me to play cards with your parents though? Come on, dude. Split the deck of cards into two and have I seen that word before? The halves together while offering an explanation of sorts. Cove doesn't keep his wallet with him when at home. He puts it away. You will full on going poker then? Okay. What? He doesn't trust you with his wallet around? Ooh. Cove quickly returned to the living room, a black wallet in his hand. He took a place at the foot of the table with the rest of you. You blinked as Cove unzipped his wallet. You're fully playing for money? Wow. You all use real money on card games with family? While you sat there, your hands idle in your lap, the three shot looks at one another and sighs. Oh my gosh, this is serious. That's right. $5 per person. Oh wait, $5 per round per person. Winner takes all. Okay, well $5. That's not too bad, I guess. Go big or go home. Oh, are you planning on kicking Patch to the curb? Or do you intend on donating to the guest of honor's pot, Mr. High Roller? This feels a little... is this aggressive or flirty? I'm never good at telling with these things. Mr. Holden narrowed his eye... Alright, dog, that's fine. Mr. Holden narrowed his eyes and leaned back against the side of the couch, completely at ease. If Patch wants to play, I'll fund their way in. Don't worry about that. Thank you. Now I'm interested. He rested his arm across the top of a knee that he propped up. Cove's dad was acting slick in a way you'd never seen before, and I'm uncomfortable with the energy that we've created in the studio today. His surety was pretty... Oh no, I thought it said appalling. No. No, he should not be this confident. I should though, okay. Are you sure? Adding me could be spelling your doom. Right you are, Patch. I hope you can back that attitude up. You know I can, Kira. See, what is that? What does that mean? Patch is my friend. If they're playing, I can give them money for the round. Mr. Holden wasn't intimidated by Cove's scowl. He only grinned, chuckling. All right, bud. I can see to your might of personality. Cove still looked a little sour, but he didn't protest more after getting his way. Well, you've got your ticket. Interested in throwing in? You glanced around. This seemed like a serious business. In response to your consternation, Kira softened her competitive smile. Don't worry too much. We'll probably just do some rounds of Go Fish tonight. No biggie. Oh, Go Fish? I can handle Go Fish, okay? What do you think? Hell yeah, baby. Let's do this. I'd love to play. And fucking destroy you all. Mr. Holden gave you a big thumbs up while Cove nodded firmly back. Are you kidding? I'm the master. Let's do this. The king of Go Fish. You usually won when you played with your own family, to the point where Elizabeth refused to play that game with you anymore. That's... Yes, we don't play Monopoly in this household anymore. Fucking hate Monopoly. Fantastic! We'll play for however long everyone wants to keep going, or until people start running out of cash but are still refusing to quit while they're behind. Speaking for yourself, I see. With a laugh, Kira nudged you using an elbow, then motioned towards the other two with her chin. Don't be fooled by their soft faces. These boys are sharks. In reaction to her words, Mr. Holton smirked and Cove's eyebrows became more angled. Okay, now I like Kira. We're gonna beat them to the curb. Are you kidding me? Kira's phrasing made you think back to when you were young, specifically of Mr. Holton's favourite shark pants that he used to wear all the time. Perhaps they had been a fit for him in ways you didn't know of. You could feel tension in the air. Cove and his parents glued their eyes to one another, then all placed $5 bills in an empty space in front of them. Cove dropped an extra one for you, giving you a tiny smile after he did. Once this was done, Kira began dealing out cards to everyone. It was time to begin. The first round came and went quickly, with the group getting into the groove of things. You won right away, which meant you had money to keep playing the second round. You're a natural! Nicely done! You better keep those wits about you for the next round, though. As the night went on, so did the games. Mr. Holden would jokingly shake his fist whenever someone other than him got a pair. Kira acted as a news anchor, reporting on every move everyone made by speaking into her curled fist. Cove was still a few words, but now it was because he was focused on the game instead of being overcome with awkwardness. Most of the time, you even spotted a smile on his lips. You won quite a few games, to your delight. You had a hefty money pile on your side of the table. But if everyone's just playing with $5 bills, how does that work? Where they are, right? Are they talking about $1 bills? That's a thing, isn't it? You must regret paying Patch's way in now, huh? No way. Patch might be beating me, but they're also beating you two. Cove turned towards you and smiled, looking pleased at your ability to match his mum and dad. You grinned at him, touched by his speedy comeback. It became clear that where the money went in the moment didn't really matter. They ended up giving it back to one another in other ways, and not just through more rounds of cards. What does that mean? You sat back, looking over the scene. A tiny smile grew on your face. Cove's family was pretty cool, you thought. You were glad you got this chance to come over to spend time with the three of them. Oh, that was lovely. That was so nice. Okay, sweet. But I think I'm actually gonna leave Road Trip for the next one. I do want to keep playing, but this has also been going for almost an hour already, and it's already my bedtime, and I've got work tomorrow, and I should go to bed. I need to go and brush my teeth, and yeah. Okay, thank you for playing with me. Please stay tuned for the next video, and then we'll move on to the road trip, and then maybe we'll go on to the next bits, okay? What am I doing? Okay, okay then, I guess this is okay, bye. Okay, bye. Bye.